Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Mrs. Lonestar State 2022 and founder of Fundamentals of Foster Care, Cheryl Williams is our guest today. Cheryl speaks about her recipe for success, her experiences as Mrs. Lonestar, as well as her passion for enriching the lives of young people.
Hello and welcome to the talk show, Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. I'm your host, Marc Hoberman. Joining me today is Mrs. Lonestar State USA Ambassador of 2022 and founder of Fund FC, which is Fundamentals for Foster Care, Cheryl Williams. Cheryl has lots of great stuff to talk about today, so let's bring her on. Cheryl Williams, welcome to Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.
Thank you so much for having me, Marc.
Oh, it's great to have you here. I'm so honored that I have a pageant winner with the crown on, with the sash. This is unbelievable. I feel like I'm in Atlantic City at a big event. So I got to ask you, Cheryl, because I want to talk a little bit about your background. Since you have a degree in early childhood education, do you think that background enabled you to work more effectively with young children?
Yes, definitely. When you understand human development and the phases that they go through, you know education too. So you know that education follows a predictable order. Every child is unique and goes at their own pace, but definitely studying early child education taught me about the predictable phases. So you get from one step to the next in order to keep going. And that's just lifespan development right there.
Right. And it's so interesting you say that because as you know and pointed out, I have been in education for a long time. So it's amazing that there are these predictable phases, but there's nothing predictable once they're in front of you because they might be in that phase, but it's like they're like snowflakes. Every student, every young person is unique. And, I also know that you are the founder of the nonprofit Fundamentals for Foster Care, with the emphasis on the FUN in fundamentals, the fun. So what can you tell us about your motivation behind that endeavor, how it started? What is it all about?
Well, when I was in foster care, I was in 7 transitions in 1 year, and the whole time, 2 different states, no education. I wasn't in school a day of my life, especially this group home. None of us were in school. And I was pretty shocked. I mean, there was a chalkboard, but no chalk, no pens. Like, how are you supposed to learn? So, I mean, we were kept away from people quite a bit too. I mean, our shoelaces were taken away. There was no way to even get our voice out there. Like, hey, I want to go to school, but, I can't drive there or something. So I really was just like a reporter. That's how I saw it. I'm taking this all in and I'm going to make a difference for those in foster care. It wasn't just me. It was everybody struggling to get their education when I was in foster care.
What was your age range during the entire foster care experience for you?
I didn't go into foster care until I was 17. I had just turned 17 that month. My parents didn't want me, so they were pretty abusive. My sister went into foster care when I was only 5 years old, but she ran away. So her experience was a little bit different. I remember helping her run away, but like I said, our parents could be really mean. It was like Hitler kind of growing up. I mean, it was really abusive. So it was hard to feel good about myself. It was hard to have self-esteem. And I actually did pretty good in academics because that was my escape. I'd read and I'd actually always be mentoring younger kids. I've always had this love for education and kids and bringing life into education, making it fun. Sounds like you are too. You have that love of learning and want to instill that in others. But I missed the time of my life, like taking foster kids to SeaWorld or, museums or ballet. I mean, I really want foster kids to have the kind of educational experiences we would want for our own young, because I do see them as our own young.
Interesting, because, and I'm sorry you had that experience, but the whole point of this show and getting someone's life stories is as difficult as that was. I would argue that you wouldn't be where you are today had you not had those obstacles and struggles in your way. And it speaks to your tenacity that you were able to overcome those things and to be able to pay it forward to others. I mean, I'm a little blown away because I didn't know you first entered the foster care system at such an old age, because, quite honestly, right now, my company is providing tutoring services for students in a county in the state of New York who are in the foster care system. And it only happened as of February. So how timely this interview is. But I really want the viewers to know that how difficult your young life was and what you've turned it into. So they can hear the words and hear some power there. They can see the visual of a crown and what you've accomplished. And I know that you've really, you're kind of humble about how far you've taken this, because I know you've involved some other people in some well-known careers in your organization. So what other people have you involved in your organization and have made them a part of it and helped them spread the word?
Well, first of all, a lot of our celebrities are so much more humble than you would think. I mean, I really think they got there just from good vibes. Like I met Willie Nelson. He hasn't really been a part of my organization, but he was the biggest sweetheart. I swear that I didn't know who he was. I just loved his vibes. People were kneeling at his chair, but I don't actually watch TV usually, so I didn't even recognize him at first. It was me and him alone in a room, and I just got to interview him like anybody else. And then someone's like, his publicist came out, and he was like, "Well, I like her; she can stay." And then when I found out, oh my gosh, this is Willie Nelson, the one and only legend, I was, wow, you would never know. He's so famous. He was so nice. And Matthew McConaughey that same day, but besides that, I have involved athletes, the NFL alumni have especially been helpful. I showed you the Zoom call I just had with them yesterday. Johnny Walker and Roderick Walker and Lifford. He was the one that connected me. I met him at a celebrity golf event, and so many have been adopted out of the NFL. You would never know it, but a lot of them have really risen above struggle. So I was thinking that coaches as well as professional athletes are the best to mentor these kids to success. They know the mental mind state of resiliency that it takes to overcome anything.
So that's great information about your organization. But I want to go just a little bit deeper. Isn't there something about either toys campaigns or donations people can make? And how can people outside who don't know of your organization, who only found out about it now, they don't need to be where you are in Texas. They don't need to be in the area. How can they help you help these young people?
Yes, I would love to impact all over 400,000 that are in foster care. And in order to do that, we need funding for programming. I oftentimes feel like I'm Mr. Rogers, just begging people seriously, foster kids we need funding, we need to be able to hire staff that knows how to do this. And we need to be able to do this full time. I mean, this is my full-time job. But when people are not getting paid, we cannot have the quality of services for these kids. And so far, we've all just been volunteers so far, which, God bless us. A lot of people like that. But I mean, all funding as much as possible goes directly to the science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics toys, which are just fun toys to help keep them actively involved in their education. They can take them with them wherever they go. They should, in fact, they can put their name on it. So it's not something that they have to leave at a foster home. And we just keep sending stuff to try to find their career interests and try to catch them up on delays. So that's where the funding has gone so far since 2019 when we started, and we sent out over 1,000 personalized toys for that. That's how I got Forbes featured because people were impressed that I personally personalized it all with my early child education to all of these foster kids. I really like feeling like they're my kids, I'm like their mom, picking out these things to spoil them. We've spent $600 on one kid sometimes, just everything I want them to have so that they feel loved, so that they feel like somebody sees them and hears them. But obviously funding to keep growing, because there's a lot of people who have hearts to want to get involved. But I was just a foster kid myself. I didn't grow up with really big context. So the biggest thing people could do is really help with fundraising or event planning and funding, or just donating. On fundfc.org is how you donate.
Okay. Say that one more time. FundFC.
Yeah, like Fund Foster Care, FUND, F is in Frank, C is in Charlie.org.
Excellent. Okay. And we'll make sure we put that up on the screen also, so people can certainly do that. And, you mentioned being a foster child yourself. You mentioned your education in early childhood. What from the early childhood schooling that you received have you been able to apply and makes you, I have a feeling you're more in tune with young people, and certainly because of your experiences, foster children than others. So what in your education and your background enabled you to really be able to have that sixth sense and be able to help these kids and take them to the next level?
Yeah, it's a very natural process. It's like being a play therapist. I really wanted to go into early intervention at the beginning because I have a heart for those with Down syndrome or, deaf or autism. I actually have a child on the spectrum myself, and I actually prayed for a kid with special needs because I kept getting told, you don't know what it's really like though. And I'm just a believer in loving parenting for all, no matter what your kid is like, even if you don't like their personality or their choice of, partner, it doesn't matter. Like, your job as a parent, your responsibility is to love them unconditionally. I mean, we don't have to love all their choices, but we do absolutely have to give them a safe place to stay and just love them, just as they are. And so with these toys, I just am a believer of self-esteem has to come intrinsically, that no matter what happens, we have a universal self inside of us and it needs to be built up. And one of the biggest ways to do that is to find our skill sets. People can feel really worthless if they just feel like they're a passenger in a car and helpless to all of this horrible stuff going on in their life and court hearings. I mean, it's enough to make any adult's head spin, let alone a child who has no idea what's going on. So just to give them toys, I pictured while they're at a doctor's appointment waiting, they could be playing with something, even if it's just a sensory toy, a fidget toy, something to just make them happy and take their mind off of all the stress that's going on. But I really like to get in touch with, do you have any idea what kind of career you might want to do or what your talents are, and then send them a bunch of stuff like that so they can be working on stuff that's really fun for them. If they like fashion design, we can get them fashion design stuff for clothing or, little jewelry stuff. There's some really creative foster teens out there.
Sure. And it's amazing that there's two very different facets of your life. And I think you have meshed them. And one, of course, most people I interview, want to dress up nicely for an interview. But obviously, anybody who's watching can see you're dressed up a little differently than most of my guests. So I did mention earlier in the intro that you are Mrs. Lonestar 2022. And my goodness, so many questions come to mind. But first, what made you decide to try out for Mrs. Lonestar?
It was a foster alumni, Jamaica Haynes Lewis, it's actually a funny story. You want the full story?
Sure.
I was trying to avoid the spotlight. I kind of give you a vague sense of under 30, there's no real pictures of me. I avoided them. I dodged pictures. I hate attention. I am pretty introverted. So I really just thought I'm going to go into nonprofit administration. I have the vision. I have the passion and the heart. I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to help reform foster care. But I thought I'd do the behind the scenes things. I got invited to speak at moms groups, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, never, I promise you never. And that's the only lie I can ever remember telling, is I really was sure I was never going to be a public speaker. But I started, even when I got news stories reaching out to me of, tell me about yourself, a biography will feature you, or in magazines. I told them no for the first year. The second year, I was kind of like, I'm looking for social ambassadors for this cause. So, that's kind of how I started getting set up with celebrities. I wasn't really thinking celebrities. I was thinking just people that are willing to be public spokesmodels for this. I mean, they don't have to look like a model. They just have to be able to share their voice and do it, triumphantly and proudly. And so I'd use this term social ambassador, and I put it in news articles. And so then this beauty pageant winner, nationals, I think we connected in a foster care group on Facebook. I'm a part of a lot of those. And she was doing a little interview for me in my mini documentary I was in, The Hearts of Foster Care, about, her time in foster care, and just a little inspiring note in the documentary, just showing how some foster youth do rise above it. They are resilient. She inspires me. And then I got this invitation to apply to be a Ms. Ambassador myself. And I was like, oh, I've never seen myself as a beauty pageant person. But, after, I haven't really found someone who has it their whole life passion. Maybe Anastasia. I met this girl earlier this year that's really helped a lot, because she was an orphan herself that got adopted. So she has a real passion too. But before that, I didn't have anybody really helping me like full time. So I was like, okay, I have to be the change I want to see in the world. I need public speaking experience. And this was the only beauty pageant that I knew of that really wasn't all about like beauty pageants. It was about public speaking. There's not even a swimsuit. There's a Fit and Fabulous, which I won, but there isn't that. It's really about women that are making the biggest difference in the world and their communities. So I loved that. I was like, okay, I can do that. It's really helped me with confidence.
You must be so busy with different things between the organization and your role as Mrs. Lonestar. So what's next for Cheryl Williams?
Well, it is pretty action-packed. There's nationals in July, which I would love to win, because that would give me an even bigger platform nationwide. Right now, it's really helped me statewide do some good for foster kids. But I actually did just get a public speaking gig at a foster conference coming up. I have the MTV Music Awards that we're going to be spreading the word about, some NFL alumni, golf charity events. I mean, it's pretty action-packed for me, and I'm working on building this mentor program and getting that. By Christmas time, I'd like to give the gift of educational presents as well as presents. So a lot of work to do before then.
I'm sure.
But I would say the biggest takeaway from my life of just actually being me is really follow the love, follow your passion. There's a lot to dislike about the foster care system to me. And there's a lot of negativity in this world, but really how I have the energy to keep going is when you're really following out of love. Even the stress doesn't seem so bad. You can't really be stressed and like in love with something at the same time. So I still feel completely socially awkward, to be honest, but I think that people can see through, I do still have some anxiety, but just see to where my heart is. And the point is that I really want to help foster kids. And so maybe I will be able to take a step back from the spotlight eventually and just be more on the administration side. But we need a lot more people to be spreading foster care awareness, if they had bad experiences in the foster care system, to change things, to be writing legislators, to make those changes. We need to fix the problems that we experience. So especially alumni, I really love to work with, because I feel like we're the chosen people to fix foster care. There's a lot of problems in this world, but this is a major world problem. I see it as, if we change 500,000 lives every single year that are definitely our most vulnerable, I mean, less than 3% go on to higher education, 50% within 2 years go to prison. There's all kinds of statistics out there that's they're our most vulnerable. So if we are actually investing in them, we're helping them get to safe shelter, we're helping them, whatever is hindering them going to school, because there's a lot of free tuition out there in most states now. But I know what it was like. I mean, I'm still working 3 jobs. I'm still having health conditions. It's not so easy, even if you had free tuition. You still have student loans. And there's just this stress of nobody is supporting you. So I would love to pair every single foster kid with a mentor that stays with them through years. And then my nonprofit fundraises for any need, any wish that they need in order to make their career dreams come true. And then I just see all of these new innovative careers, these CEOs, these scientists, I mean, even artists, I mean, whatever someone likes to do appearing instead of our homeless population. I want to live in a world with so much fewer homeless, so much like less like, you know, family fighting and hate, and turning it around into loving relationships filled with joy. It's possible. I mean, I've seen it in my own life. So that's what I'm going to be fighting for all my life.
I think it's a great thing, I think, cause to be fighting for. And I just have to say, Cheryl Williams, thank you for joining us today, sharing your passion, your experiences that you've had in the pageants, but especially all your hard work to make the lives of foster children brighter. I really appreciate that. And I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. So again, to Cheryl Williams, thank you so much for being with us. This is Marc Hoberman. Thanking you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman, and see you next time. Cheryl, thank you so much.
Thank you, Marc, for your important work. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.